So some of you might be familiar with the reports because they're out there about the NFL preparing to potentially suspend Jameis Winston up to 3 games for a violation of the league's personal conduct policy. And this is all stemming from an incident, an alleged incident, I should say, back in 2016, I believe in Arizona, with Jameis, an Uber driver, and some touchy-feely, gropey hands. And the question that I feel like needs to be asked is, does Jameis Winston deserve to be suspended for this? Because part of the report that's talking about the suspension says it doesn't come necessarily from the alleged behavior or the potential incident. It's the fact that he failed to report it right away, which I wonder, if you look at the backstory to all of this, did he even know that this was an allegation right away? Or did it take a while for even to come out and he found out basically about it when everybody else did? That's the first thing I wonder. Number two, we're going to make a big deal about not reporting the incident. I mean, that's just kind of, you're supposed to snitch on yourself like, hey, this is an investigation that's coming. This is an allegation that's coming. So you're basically snitching on yourself, telling on yourself, and all the while, the charges and allegations could be 100% true, and they could also be 100% bullshit. Like, why would you want to sit there just from self-preservationist human behavior? Why would you want to snitch on yourself if you know that it's crap, you know it's 100% BS, and furthermore, if you didn't even know necessarily that anything was going to come out of anything because you didn't do anything? So that's a little concerning. Then you look at the whole notion of, ultimately the Uber driver complained to Uber, but not the police. There were no charges filed, best that I can surmise. So we are talking about potentially suspending somebody who wasn't convicted, wasn't even put on trial for it, wasn't even arrested for it, wasn't even charged with anything. It was just an allegation at that. And look, I'm not trying to minimize the allegation, because the allegation is what the allegation is he got touchy-feely, gropey hands with a female Uber driver a couple of years ago. That is absolutely a serious allegation, and it deserves a full and complete investigation. And if he did it, or you had reason to believe he might have done it, especially with Jameis's background in history, the crab legs incident, let's not forget the alleged sexual assault rape incident while he was at Florida State, you'll wonder if this is the type of guy that you want associated with a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or with the National Football League as a whole, and that is a valid question to ask. But to me, I've always had a fundamental problem with, on one hand, our justice system is allegedly supposed to be about innocent until proven guilty. But we have an environment in the NFL where whether you're innocent or guilty doesn't matter. You're still going to be punished as if you're guilty. And to me, that is crap. Like, I look at this and I say, if there were no police charges brought, or no charges brought to the police, there was no investigation by the police to where it led to charges, an arrest, a trial, conviction, what the fuck are we suspending the dude for? Because that's a really scary place for an athlete to be in, or just a celebrity in general, especially a man in this stage of the world, is with the Me Too stuff and everything else. People could just throw out willy-nilly allegations like we saw with Reuben Foster and his ex-girlfriend and what she said, and then she later confessed to it being basically all bullshit. And then we sit there, where are her charges? Where is her life being dragged through the mud? Where is she being ruined at? And of course it doesn't happen because this world is full of shit. So I have a fundamental problem with sitting there and making a guy culpable and punishable for something that he didn't even get convicted of. Is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So on that standpoint, Jameis absolutely doesn't deserve to be suspended. That said, though, the NFLPA was stupid enough to allow in the last collective bargaining agreement this type of personal conduct policy that basically allowed Roger Goodell and the NFL to do all of this without any real oversight, without any real checks and balances, to the point where you're punishing people and they're not even convicted of any crime. That's the fault of the players' union for that type of shit right there. That's their mistake. That's their fault. It's their responsibility that guys like Jameis Winston could potentially get suspended for something that they may or may not have even done and have not been proven to have actually done. But then you also look at this from a bigger picture standpoint. If Ezekiel Elliott got 6 games for a variety of different instances, but not much that was actually proven in a court of law, then Jameis Winston absolutely deserves 3 games, which may or may not get appealed and may or may not get dropped down to like 1 game. He absolutely deserves it. Is it fair? No. Is it bullshit? Yes. But it is what the league has set up in terms of an infrastructure for player punishment. It is what the players' union, like the idiots they were, allowed to be put into place. So you have a situation where guys are getting punished when they may or may not have even done anything. And that's just ridiculous to me. But if we're keeping things fair, if other guys get suspended for other things, and when you look at Jameis and the history of seeming to find a way to get himself involved in incidents, get in trouble a little bit, maybe it is a good thing that he gets suspended, and it gives him a reminder of what he has and what is potentially at stake and what he can lose, because if this doesn't do it, I don't know what will. And I know even in this case, it was a couple of years ago, and for the most part, we've heard reports of Jameis being relatively well-behaved and a good citizen in the community and everything. But you wonder if there are other skeletons there, and you wonder if there are other issues there. Maybe the best thing for him is to get sat down for a game or a couple of games and be able to reevaluate his priorities and serve as a reminder to himself and others that you need to be really, really careful with the people you associate with, the actions that you take, the behaviors that you exhibit in public and in private, because playing in the league, as they say, is a privilege, not a right, and that is absolutely the case. Personally, I don't like the thought of suspending somebody for something that they're not proven in a court of law of doing, but it doesn't matter under the current collective bargaining agreement, because these idiots, the players and the players' union, DeMaurice Smith, the leader, gave Roger Goodell that power. So you reap what you freaking sowed.